Greetings and salutations once again, dear viewers. The game of the day is, once again, Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I've mentioned before that there is a rather large gate in the way of progression for most players, and that gate is Titan Hard Mode. We are, however, not doing that today. I'm trying to prepare you as much as possible for that. And there's one last thing that you can really do and deal with before that happens. So crack open that duty finder and queue up for Thorn March. The fight with Good King Moggle Mog. Now I would suggest looking through the party finder if you can for this, if only because there's actually a fair amount of preparation and dialogue that needs to go on before the fight. I'm going into this way over-geared. I'm item level 89 now. I think for this fight I would suggest an average item level of 70. Now I mentioned that there is a fair amount of dialogue and the like that goes on, that should go on before the fight starts, and I think having a party finder even helps with the speed. You see, not many people do this fight. If you really want the weapon that drops from this fight, it is actually better than Garuda's weapon, but many people go into Titan Hard Mode with Garuda's weapon anyway. And if they can manage just one win against Titan Hard Mode, they'll have something far better than the Moogle weapon. It is, however, also a part of the main story in the game to do this fight, so having a weapon would help you prepare, and since it's part of the main story, they would sort of expect you to go through with this anyway. Now, before we get started, I would like to take this opportunity to give you a quick rundown of the overall flow of this fight, since once the fight starts, I'm going to have a lot of other things to talk about. You see, this fight is not only against Good King Moggle Mog. The fight is against Good King Moggle Mog and 7 of his cohorts. When the fight begins, there is but one Moogle in front of you, and this is not the Good King. As you fight during the first phase of the fight, more of these 7 Moogles will spawn into the area, and after an amount of time, all 7 of them will group together and summon the Good King. The fight's divided roughly into 2 phases. The first phase is against only the Moogles, and in fighting these Moogles, they will spawn periodically over time, giving you a chance to deal with one before you have to deal with the other. Overall, it's not the hardest part of the fight, but it is a DPS race. You have to kill at least 5 of the 7 before they summon the Good King, or you really don't have much chance of surviving his attack. You see, as soon as they summon the Good King, he does an attack that does a great deal of damage to all of you. Add to that, any of the Moogles you've defeated thus far are revived, and the second phase of the fight is against the Good King and all 7 Moogles, all at the same time. It is important in the first phase to number the Moogles in the order that they need to be killed in. This is primarily so in the second phase, since the numbers do carry over, everything is already numbered and you can very quickly go from Moogle to Moogle. You see, all 7 Moogles each have a different job, and the job that they are does dictate what they can do and how dangerous they are. You need to come up with an order so you can take care of the most dangerous and troublesome ones first. So, since I've been queuing for about an hour before I found a group for this, let's skip on ahead to when that happens. So after an hour of waiting, we've gotten our 2 tanks to join, and let's start this on up. soon as the healer decides. There we go. Now, as always, you're greeted with a cutscene that is... it's pretty alright cutscene. Especially since this is a story mission. If you really want to watch it, go ahead. I'm sure other people are going to be watching it anyway, but I still suggest skipping it just so you're not wasting anybody's time. Now, since they are watching the cutscene, and we've got to take a second to get our crap straight, let's go ahead and speed through this a little bit. Now, you'll notice there's only one Moogle in front of us. I'll be covering what each Moogle does as they spawn and we fight them. The one in front of us is the Paladin. The most dangerous thing the Paladin can do is provoke, which will grab the two closest people to him and make them auto-attack him for a while. This is why you do not want healers standing close to him. Grab two ranged DPS and make sure they are always standing closest to him. You'll see he's numbered 4 because he is actually kind of important to take out. Now, of course, I'm going to get hit with this attack because all of my crap decided to lock up and lag kicked in right at that instant. But overall, he'll go down pretty easily here when he's the only one to deal with. Now, as you're fighting him, 2 more will spawn. You saw the archer spawn off to the left, and the black mage spawned over here. Now, what the black mage does, black mage, number 1 to kill, by the way, is he will slowly move from corner to corner of the arena. When he gets to one corner of the arena, he will cast Mog Flare. Mog Flare has a huge area and needs to be stunned, or it will right murder you. Now, you saw us running over towards the archer because the next group hadn't spawned yet. I was keeping an eye on the west side of the arena because this is where they do spawn, and the one that I attacked is number 2, the white mage. The white mage, on top of curing, will also cast Palm Holy, which does a fair amount of damage. Now, of note, the other 2 that spawned here are the thief and the warrior. Now, the thief and the warrior and the paladin are the only 2 Moogles out of all 7 of them that can be tanked. The other 5 run around and do whatever the crap they want. You see us going over and fighting the thief temporarily, fighting him just until number 3 spawned, who is the bard. Now, the bard simply floats about and starts singing, as you see him doing here. This sing gives a pretty substantial buff to anybody nearby. Now, when the warrior spawn, you'll want one of the tanks to grab the warrior and hold him off to the side, so his conal AoE doesn't just wreck everyone. And the tank that's grabbing the warrior is going to have to keep the warrior away from the bard. Now, we killed the thief there. Now, the thief does almost nothing of note. He'll stand in one place for a while and occasionally fly across the arena, stab somebody else, and then just kind of chill there for a little while. The stab doesn't even do that much damage. Now, the warrior you saw back there not only has that conal AoE, but he also has an attack called Moogle Go Round, which is a very large AoE that can and will kill many of you. And then finally, the archer that was back there is also another one that's almost negligible to deal with. He will occasionally cast Moogle Eye Shot, which will hit one person in the arena for a almost negligible amount of damage, and then he also has an attack that will hit in an area around a target, but he only uses that when the Good King tells him to. Now, come Phase 2, everybody dances around, they summon the Good King does his attack, all the Moogles are back, and now you have them numbered and kill them. Of the 2 tanks, one tank will grab the Good King and haul him off to one side of the arena. The other tank will flash in the middle to grab the warrior and paladin, who are the only 2 that can be tanked, and haul them off to the other side. That right there is the attack that the black mage is doing. I did my best to stun it. Everybody with a stun that. And once the black mage is dead, the Good King can now use his ability to a degree. He can't cast Palm Flare as large as he did before, but he can do these small areas attacks as he did there. Now that is still a bit troublesome to deal with, but there's nothing you can do but dodge. So if you see that, get out of the way. Now our tank, gloriously enough, our main tank decided he was going to DPS instead of tank the Good King. I'm gonna be honest, we had no right to win this fight. Absolutely no right to win this fight. I don't know how we did. We killed off the healer, which means the Good King now can cast Palm Holy on occasion. The healer, when commanded by the Good King, would cast Palm Holy, otherwise it would just kind of float about and cast Cure every now and then. So with that done, we're moving on to the Bard, who's doing his little song and dance, and we're taking him down as fast as possible. And now, with the Black Mage, White Mage, and Bard done, this fight has gotten substantially less chaotic. Good King is still flying around killing everybody because he feels like it and because the tank is an idiot. That is Moogle Go Round, which you absolutely do not want to be in range of. The green poo you see over there is something the Thief will drop every now and then. Now the reason we're killing the Paladin right now and why it is really important to kill the Paladin, many people think, oh, if the backup tank has the Paladin and the Warrior, we don't have to worry about them until the very end. No, kill the Paladin. The Paladin, especially if you wait until the very end, the Good King only commands 2 Moogles at a time to use their special attacks. The special attacks of the Paladin and Warrior are Provoke and Moogle Go Round, which means if you wait until the very end to kill them, he will command both of them to do their attacks at the same time, which means you will be provoked right into Moogle Go Round, and that will insta-kill 2 or 3 of your team. Just kill the Paladin sooner. So with that done, we killed the Thief quickly enough, because again, he doesn't do much of note other than drop the green poo. Number 5 there was the Archer, which we also killed. Or was number 5 the Thief? Yes, number 5 was the Thief, which we just killed there. Again, he's not really anything big of note. And now from here, we're left with only 2. Now, on occasion, the team will just ignore the remaining 2 ads and focus down the Good King. Because once the Good King's dead, the entire fight is done. I've been yelled at numerous times. Since we killed the Warrior, by the way, the Good King can now do Moogle Go Round. But since I've been yelled at a number of times to... Oh no, the Warrior is still alive, so I guess that was the Warrior doing Moogle Go Round. But since I've been yelled at a number of times to not worry about killing the remaining 2, I'm standing here fighting the Good King and wondering what the crap everybody else is doing. Everybody else is killing the remaining 2 Moogles. So this went on for a little while, and it was just about now that I figured, you know what, I'm just going to kill the remaining 2 and we'll be done with it. So that was the Archer killed, everybody else killed the Warrior earlier, and now we're fighting the Good King. Or maybe that was the Warrior and everybody else killed the Archer. I don't know anymore at this point, and I don't care. Props to the tank, by the way, who was tanking for a while there, the Warrior and the Good King, because our other tank was an idiot. Now, by a certain stage in the fight, after an amount of time, the Good King will start using his big fancy attack, which name escapes me, a second time. Which means by that point in the fight, you have to have killed at least 5 of the Moogles, or that attack will wipe you just the same as it would when he used it at the beginning of the fight. Oh! There's a lot going on in this fight. But, give it a couple goes, figure it out. The most important thing is to get 2 tanks that know what they're doing, and to set a kill order. If you can manage those, and everybody can stay alive, this fight's not that bad. But that's it for Good King Moggle Mog, and this is the last bit of prep you can do before Titan Hard Mode. So guess what we're doing next?